I did put on mascara and then I sneezed. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and welcome to today's video where I am dipping into the Oden Jewels and Gem palette to do this eyeshadow look, which I ended up loving a lot more than I expected to. And I also wanted to talk about some brands that I'm watching, things that I might want to try in 2024. So today I want to play with the Jewels and Gem palette from Oden. I haven't used this one yet on camera. I have used it, and it's really lovely. It just is. It's quite lovely. I also have my palette pull-on project. It's carded above if you don't know what I mean, but the palette I'm working through is Tropicolor from Sydney Grace and the Fancy Face. And I did up through shade number 4, so now I'm moving on to shade number 5. So let's see what that color is. This one over here. It's just quite a deep mid-tone maroon shade. All right, well that would be an easy deepening out shade. I don't really have a specific plan as regards to Jewels and Gems, but I don't know, I'm sure I can incorporate a maroon somehow. I will prime my eyes with the Glam Light Icing Primer. Everything I'm using is linked down below in the description box. All right, this is gonna be quite simple. I think I wanna use the shimmer Rhapsody. So I'm just gonna fill my crease with, I think these two as transition tones, and then I will take that maroon as a darker shade. Here's the color Ecstasy. I don't usually go light to dark, but I felt like it today. And honestly, the last time I used this palette, I did grab this Ecstasy shade, and it was so pretty. Just such a lovely, soft, like a dusty lavender color. It's super pretty, very, very gentle and feminine, and I like it a lot. I wanted to put it everywhere. I also wanted to talk to you guys today about some brands that I'm interested in trying in 2024. I don't think I did this video for 2023, but I'm pretty sure I did it the previous year, so check my description box as well for that, and I'll find that video and link it down below. But brands I'm looking at for 2024. For quite some time, I've wanted to try Natasha Denona, but honestly, I'm just not very enthused by her color stories. I think that the recent Yucca palette is her most interesting and most me color story, except that it's extremely yellow-based browns and greens, which are not the best green shades for me. So I'm not likely to get that palette, but I have hope that she's starting to introduce some more color into her lineup. I believe that with the Yucca palette, correct me if I'm wrong, but she launched a new formula, just really, really sparkly shimmers, which were, I guess, different from her previous shimmers. I am interested in those because I love a good sparkly shimmer, not so much wet or metallic or foiled. I love a good sparkle. I liked the I Need a Nude palette, but when I'm real with myself, I know that I wouldn't use the thing hardly ever. It would be not a wise investment. So I am looking at Natasha Denona. I've heard great things about her formula, and the people that I follow on YouTube generally, I mean, they like Natasha Denona. Everyone that I follow has high praise for her eyeshadow formula on the whole. So I don't know, I think I'd like to try that brand. I'm just waiting to see if she can launch some more interesting or varied color stories like the Xenon palette she just did. That was such a bust. It was just so unnecessary. Really, the mini Xenon would have been perfectly fine. Look at this color. Let me go with a smaller brush. Blend Bunny B1, and I'll pick up the next shade called Heaven. I'll put this in, I don't know, maybe the outer half. Anyway, the Xenon palette was unnecessary, but I'm watching her brand to see what else she does. And I don't really have any experience with a cream to powder formula. Apparently that's something she typically incorporates in her palettes, a couple of cream to powder. I don't really know how to work with a cream to powder. I don't know how it would behave. Like, is it a little bit stickier or tackier? You have to work with it a bit more before it softens. I have no idea. And I've looked at the alter ego dupes of Natasha Denona palettes, and they usually get the color story quite spot on. And I think that they also try to replicate the cream to powder. So I don't know. Maybe I would try it in a less expensive brand just to see how I like the cream to powder concept. Not sure. But Natasha Denona is on my watch list for the year. I'm bringing these same colors, the lighter and then the darker, onto my lower lash line, but I'm keeping the darker in the outer half or so, outer third. I'm also watching Gourmand Girls. I would really like to try Gourmand Girls. Their Silent Night palette, I think, is the most recent. Before that, they had Haunted. Before that, they had Nightshade, which those palettes, I know they're not dupes, but they were just far too close. They're each beautiful in their own right. There are some slightly different shades or undertones. I get it. I get it. I don't come for me. I'm just saying we didn't need both of those launched within weeks of each other. I think they even would have gotten a little bit less flack if they had been launched like a year apart, but I don't know. But of those two, I really wanted Nightshade. I really wanted Nightshade. It was too expensive. It's not in my budget right now, but I do want to try Gourmand Girls. I've heard wonderful things about the formulas. I generally like the color stories. I like the format of the palettes. I like the packaging. It's not amazing, but it's pretty cute. They definitely put some effort into that. And I don't know. I considered getting the Silent Night palette. It's pretty. I'm watching them to see what else they put out. And again, I think everyone that I follow on social media for eyeshadow is really enjoying the Gourmand Girls formula in recent updates, like the last 4 or 5 palettes, I think. Maybe basically since Spooked. That might have been the one that turned the tides. Like that took them from a good formula to a great formula. It might have been the Spooked palette. With the Blend Bunny B2, I'm going into my palette pull-in shade, the shade Maroon from Sydney Grace Tropicolor. And I'm going to use this only to deepen my outer corner area. I don't really want this look to be super dark. I do like the gradient though. The third brand I wanted to mention in today's video is Shall We Makeup. I think I first heard of Shall We by watching I Am Jamila's channel. And then I happened to see a couple of videos that popped up on YouTube, in particular Seeking Shifts. Is that girl's name Riley? Riley from Seeking Shifts, I think. She had a whole video on Shall We Makeup that I believe was more recent. I didn't actually look at the date, but it came up as a recent suggestion. So I'm assuming the video was new-ish. And then over on Instagram, Shall We Makeup is popping up all over the place. I'm just seeing it kind of everywhere. So I went over to their Instagram page and I started following them. They have some really lovely color stories. I'm trying to remember what the name of... Mistwitch, I think, was the name of a palette I saw. I haven't explored too much of their offerings. You know, do they have a lot of palettes or do they mainly do singles? I believe they have a lot of palettes because the ones that I saw from I Am Jamila, she was reviewing the mini ones, like the keychain size palettes, and then apparently they have larger versions of the same things and other palettes that I hadn't seen yet. So the Shall We formula does look quite beautiful. It is really, really pigmented. I mean, it looks amazing on Jamila's skin, and it also looks to be really high quality. So I'm curious about that brand as well. But now let's put on some sparkle. Flat brush, taking the shade Rhapsody in the Oden palette, and I'm gonna spray this. This is one of the slightly flakier shades from the brand, and I don't really want to get a lot of fallout. I never like getting fallout, even though I don't do much face makeup at all. I just don't want fallout. So I've got Rhapsody and I'll spray it. Let's start this on the center of the lid and see how it's looking. That's pretty. It's not quite what I was expecting as far as the color. Could just be the terrible lighting in my house. Realistically, that could be what it is. This is looking a little bit of a duller base color, so I'm going to leave it in the center of the lid. I don't dislike it at all. The colors in this collection, the Stone and Rock and the Jewels and Gem, these palettes are more subdued. They're a little bit more earthy, kind of undertoned, so you're not going to get really bold pops of color on the whole. Even this one, which is more colorful, has what, that and that, but they're like quieter versions, like the Muse palette from Cosmic Beauty or the Lust to Dusk palette from ColourPop. Everything's a bit desaturated. And then even in the Stone and Rock palette, there's one green that's a little bit more vibrant, but still, on the whole, the palettes are quiet. So it's not that I dislike this, it's just that it wasn't exactly the color I was thinking it would be, but that could also be down to my lighting. Let me buff off my brush here. I'm thinking, do I want to go into this or this? They're both going to add contrast. This one's going to be much closer to the one I just used. So maybe I'll pick up Swoon. why don't I take Swoon just for fun? Just for fun, and again, I will spray it. Let's try Swoon here. Ooh, that's pretty. Ooh, that's kind of a fiery, peachy sort of color. This is the multi-chrome in the palette. So in the palette, when I'm looking at it, it looks kind of a white shimmer. When I catch different lighting, I see goldish green sorts of tones. And now on my eye, I see more orangey, fiery, opal kinds of colors. It's pretty though. Anyway, Shall We Makeup also surprised me with the prices. I kind of expect, somewhere in the back of my head lives the concept that these fancy formulaed indie brands are going to be expensive, like Lemonatrix. That's the price point I have in mind for other brands who are doing comparable things. So I was surprised, pleasantly surprised, that Shall We Makeup did not have cosmetics, Shall We Cosmetics? Whatever, that they did not have prices like that. They definitely seem to be a lot more affordable. So I think that one is much more likely for me to try than Lemonatrix, unless somebody gives me a Lemonatrix palette, because I'm not spending $80 or $100 on an eyeshadow palette. It's not going to happen. All of that to say, though, I don't even know if I'm going to get to try these brands in 2024, because on the whole, I'm on a low / more often than not, a no buy. I rarely will dish out money for a new palette right now. My husband and I are saving. We're saving to consolidate debt and saving for a house. So I have a very hard time justifying palette purchases when I have 40 beautiful palettes in beautiful formulas and color stories, which I love and enjoy and have curated carefully. It's hard for me to justify buying a palette right now because we're saving for a house. So that's where we are, and I think that's a perfectly fine place to be. I am enjoying what I have. I am grateful. I'm having fun. And even though these brands are kind of on my watch list for the year, there's no guarantee that I'm going to actually try any of them. It's just, they've piqued my interest. So here's how everything turned out, guys. I actually love it after all. When I was putting on that first shimmer, I was a little bit less enthused. I still liked it, but I didn't love it. But now the way it all came together and the way that the shimmers work with those soft lavender mattes, oh, I think it's super pretty. And you know what? So far, of all the colors that I've used in this palette, this is my favorite. Of all these beautiful shimmers and more poppy colors, that's the one. This is what the All Amethyst palette from ColourPop should have been. Yes, love this transition color. I think the colors are all working together beautifully, and it's just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. I'm not surprised because I love Oden's Eye and I have always enjoyed my looks with them, but I think this is, it's not that I wasn't expecting a pretty look, but it's just, there's something about it that I'm really jiving with. Let me tell you what I did to finish off. In my waterline, I just used white, and then I have mascara on to finish off the eyes. On my lips, I'm wearing this lip liner. It is the Italia Deluxe in the shade 1057 Black Currant. That's all. I lined the lips and then I filled them in. On my face, I'm wearing my Tarte blush palette. There's sort of a purpley blush in here, this one here. That's what I used. And then the ABH Aurora Glow Kit, I picked up this purple highlighter. Can you guys see that purple? It's sort of a, I don't know, like an ethereal purple pink kind of tone. Now, keep in mind that I have one highlighter brush and I don't usually clean it off between highlighters, so it's kind of whatever's on the brush, but there's definitely purple on my cheek, and I think it's really, really pretty. I did put on mascara, and then I sneezed. I put on mascara, and I'm like, okay, let it dry, achoo, and I got like these lines from my lashes squeezing together. So I had to clean those up, and yeah, that's the story of my mascara. I hope you guys have enjoyed this look. Thank you so much for being here today. I would love to hear what are some of the brands that you're watching this year. What are some brands that you have been wanting to try, wanted to try, and maybe did like something that's new to you, brands that have really caught your eye. Maybe you're not ready to spend the money, or you're not loving the color stories, but you really want to see what else they're going to come out with as far as presentation, and maybe something will get you to try the brand. I'm curious. You know what I'm looking at. I'd love to know what you're looking at. Thank you for being here. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and for giving me your time. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you'll consider liking and subscribing if you haven't done so yet and you want to see more videos like this. I generally upload 4 videos a week, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.